The magic will happen if we focus on the key things that occur before the scoreboard, before the number. If we get that right, the number will happen.
Welcome back, and I'm delighted to have Luigi with me again. G'day,
Thanks,
Luigi.
Yeah.
Hey, in this day and age, I'm hearing 50% of salespeople don't make their quota. People turn over every 15 months. Their time in jobs is averaging only about 15 months. Now, you're seeing this whole world of sales is really struggling.
Yeah.
And one of the aspects is how do we manage our business to be successful? How do we achieve the end results and manage our time and know where to put our efforts and so on? I know you talk about pipeline a lot. Is pipeline part of the answer for that?
Oh, absolutely. I think, when we look at the symptom of or some of the root cause issues to people not meeting target, often we look at the right at the end of the funnel to say maybe we're not closing enough. And in my experience and from what I'm seeing out in the marketplace, it's about we're not diligent enough with how we manage our pipeline. Like, even the basic metrics of what needs to be in the pipeline in order to be successful.
Are you talking about leaders and managers managing the company and the regional pipelines, or are you talking about salespeople managing it? Both.
We've got both. We often look at the scoreboard. We often look at the end goal and say this is what our target needs to be, but not enough thought is done around looking at what are the metrics that help us achieve that. Especially we live in a day where we've got all the data in our CRM. People say, look, it shouldn't be a numbers game, but at the end of the day, there are numbers.
Well, you can't manage to outcomes, can you? It's too late. If you haven't managed the inputs,
correct,
you're not going to get the outcome.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll give you an example of how this can have an impact on overall performance. I'm coaching a sales guy, an enterprise sales guy, selling a tech platform at the moment, and when reviewing a particular deal or doing a deal review, he pushed the deal to a point of conclusion too early. And I asked him, why did he push that customer? And he said, because I needed to close for my month, right? I needed to get the deal done because I was hitting the end of the month. It was actually last month. And I asked one key question, which was, what was the problem that you were helping the customer solve? Now, he couldn't articulate that because he was so, his desire to get that deal done, he skipped a couple of stages of the process. But that wasn't the root cause of his problem. The root cause of his problem when looking at his pipeline, he didn't know his key conversion metrics at each stage of the pipeline. And therefore, he didn't have enough in the body. So his pipeline, no disrespect, was actually quite an unhealthy pipeline. It was a bit of an anorexic pipeline. So that was leading him to push opportunities through the advocating stage that weren't meant to be there.
I can relate to that. In fact, I was working with somebody recently that seemed to have a very healthy pipeline until I looked into it. And obviously his company had problems in allowing this to happen, but he had moved a lot of deals through the pipeline. And his manager actually got me in to say, this guy's having trouble closing. And typically when I get that comment, it's not closing that's the issue.
Yeah, it's the start of it. And this is where managers need to also be diligent in having those one-on-ones at a pipeline review session and really asking them, asking key questions about the opportunities that sit within them to identify, is the salesperson should it be at that particular stage? Because it's very easy to come up with a really sexy looking pipeline, right? We've all done it. I've done it early in my career. I wanted my boss off my back, so I just put it in a certain stage of the process. If we actually did proper qualification, you probably shouldn't have been there. So we often, and pipeline can look great, but it might not be real. So, it's a fine art. And that's where managers, sales leaders need to take more time understanding where deals are at in the pipeline. And salespeople, we're professionals, we need to really understand what are the metrics that enable me to have success and make sure I've got enough in each stage so that I don't have to force deals through the pipeline. Because again, that's about meeting our needs, not about meeting the customer's needs.
And making sure it's quality.
Absolutely.
All the way.
Yep.
So it's not just managing the numbers, it's managing to a level of quality, a level of qualification, if you like, as you step through that process. Absolutely. And exactly. Too often I've seen companies saying, we're putting in lots of proposals. Of course, the proposal, there's no qualification done ahead of it. They haven't done the depth of discovery, and therefore proposals are a waste of time. The customer's not even going to read them because it's not relevant to them.
I mean, it's just like a deeper brochure, bigger brochure. Yeah. It's still not talking to the problems we help you solve, because that diligence hasn't been done and the questions haven't been asked.
Okay, so pipeline's going to help us manage the leading indicators,
Yep.
as long as we're managing the quality of the
Correct.
content in there, and the outcomes will just come if we're managing it through the process and ensuring that there is quality in that pipeline,
Yep.
and with the right number of numbers.
Absolutely.
The rest just happens.
Yeah. And I say this, John, like image pipeline sales, in my best year ever, I had the worst conversion in my career, but I was able to get the number, exceed my number through sheer hard work. Now, in hindsight, it was a wonderful thing is when I identified some of the opportunities post that year, there was a lot of learnings that come from it.
Less can sometimes mean more.
Correct. So I keep saying, the magic will happen if we focus on the key things that occur before the scoreboard, before the number. If we get that right, the number will happen.
And underpinning that's a lot of disciplines we need. We need a bloody good sales process. You can't manage a pipeline without understanding what the process is and so on. Hey, I think that's a great discussion. Let's close it there.
Thanks, John.
I think the bottom line is managing your numbers is critical as long as you're managing quality in those numbers. And you need to be looking at your leading indicators so that you're managing the whole thing through to an outcome. But you're not measuring yourself on achieving the outcomes. You're measuring your leading indicators first. That's what pipeline management's all about. Agreed?
Yeah, perfectly summed up.
Thank you very much. Look forward to the next time we talk.
Thanks, John.